As we reach our 50s, many of us begin to reflect on life. It's a time when we find ourselves at a crossroads, looking back at the roads we've already traveled, and at the same time, imagining the paths ahead. For years, we've been conditioned to think about others first, whether it was caring for our children, taking care of our family, working towards building a successful career, or simply trying to meet the expectations of society. But now, as we enter this next phase of life, a question begins to emerge in our minds. What about me? Is it selfish to start living for ourselves, or is it in fact empowering? This question resonates with many, particularly as we enter this period where we feel more comfortable in our own skin, more confident in who we are, and more aware of the limited time we have left. For so many years, our identities were tied to roles, whether as a parent, a partner, a worker, or a friend. And yet, as we step into our 50s and beyond, we begin to ask ourselves, who am I outside of these roles? What do I want to do with the time I have left? It's an important moment, a moment that we don't always allow ourselves to have in earlier years. The reality is that for a long time, we may have put our own needs, dreams, and desires on the back burner. We've been busy doing for others, sacrificing for the family, managing work demands, or tending to the everyday hustle of life. But now the kids are grown. Perhaps retirement is on the horizon, and life has slowed down in ways that allow us to reflect and take stock. The question lingers, should I finally start putting myself first? Many people feel guilty about the notion of living for themselves. We've been taught that the greatest fulfillment comes from service to others, taking care of family, supporting friends, being a reliable colleague. So when we think about putting ourselves first, we might feel selfish. After all, isn't life about giving? Doesn't being selfless make us good people? It's a dilemma many face when they consider the idea of carving out time, space, and energy for themselves after 50. But here's the truth. Living for yourself after 50 is not selfish. It is empowering. And that's a powerful realization to come to. Living for yourself is not about abandoning those you love, nor is it about turning your back on responsibilities. It's about recognizing that you too matter. Your dreams, your health, your happiness, and your well-being are important. And without focusing on yourself, you won't be able to give others your best self. In fact, the more we care for ourselves, the more we can give to others. Think about it. When you feel energized, mentally clear, and emotionally balanced, you are in a much better position to support those around you. When we pour from an empty cup, we risk burning out, feeling resentful, and losing sight of who we are. But when we take the time to recharge, rejuvenate, and focus on what makes us feel alive, we become better partners, parents, friends, and contributors to our communities. So the first step in understanding the empowering nature of living for yourself after 50 is realizing that it's not about choosing yourself over others. It's about learning to care for yourself so that you can show up as your best self for others. It's about making your own happiness and well-being a priority, not as an act of selfishness, but as an act of self-respect and self-love. Many of us have spent years taking care of others and focusing on external responsibilities, but now is the time to shift the focus inward. This doesn't mean abandoning our loved ones or neglecting our responsibilities. Rather, it means that we begin to recognize the importance of nurturing ourselves. Just as we put time and energy into maintaining relationships, careers, and other aspects of our lives, we also need to invest time and energy into our own growth and well-being. Living for yourself after 50 might mean different things to different people. For some, it might involve pursuing a long-forgotten passion, perhaps taking up painting, learning a musical instrument, or exploring a new hobby. For others, it might mean finally making time for regular exercise, eating well, or prioritizing mental health. It might even mean setting aside time to simply rest and reflect, allowing yourself the space to breathe and just be. It can be scary though. We may fear judgment from others or even guilt for thinking about ourselves. But here's the thing, no one is going to take care of us if we don't take care of ourselves first. The years ahead can be rich, joyful, and filled with purpose, but it all starts with recognizing that your well-being is just as important as the well-being of anyone else. It's not a matter of choosing yourself over others, it's about giving yourself the gift of a well-balanced, fulfilling life. In fact, living for yourself can also be incredibly empowering in ways that transcend personal satisfaction. It's about reconnecting with your passions, your values, and your purpose. It's about rediscovering what brings you joy, what excites you, and what gives your life meaning. Many of us put our dreams on hold for years, only to realize later that we have neglected parts of ourselves that need nurturing. After 50, you have the unique opportunity to take back the reins and shape the rest of your life. Moreover, living for yourself after 50 doesn't mean you'll stop being there for others. In fact, the opposite is true. When you make time to nurture yourself, whether it's through self-care, pursuing a passion, or simply taking time to rest, you become more present for your loved ones. You are more patient, more understanding, and more able to give love freely because you are not depleting yourself in the process. As we enter this chapter of our lives, we have the freedom to break free from the constraints of others' expectations and truly start living for ourselves. It's a time to redefine who we are, to embrace our own unique journey, and to celebrate the richness that comes with personal growth and fulfillment. The beauty of this stage in life is that we can create our own path, no longer bound by the need to please others or live up to a set of predefined standards. The future is in our hands, and it's never too late to start living the life we've always dreamed of on our terms. And so the question posed at the beginning, is living for yourself after 50 selfish or empowering, is one that we can answer with confidence. Living for yourself is not selfish, it is empowering. It is an act of self-respect, a way of honoring your needs, your dreams, and your life. It's about giving yourself permission to take up space to breathe, to grow, and to become the person you were always meant to be. After discovering that living for yourself is not selfish, but empowering, we now need to dive deeper into an important question. How can living for yourself lead to personal fulfillment, strong relationships, and a purposeful life in the years to come? The answer lies in what we have overlooked in the past, in the small things we have forgotten to enjoy during all those years of worrying, chasing work, and fulfilling responsibilities. When we reach our 50s, we may begin to feel a significant shift in the way we view life. Time ahead seems clearer, and we realize that not everything we do has to be for others or for societal goals. After years of living for work, family, and external duties, it's now time to think about ourselves, to understand that we too deserve to live a life of our own, a life where we are at the center. However, living for yourself is not always easy. We must let go of ideas and beliefs that have been ingrained in us over many decades, ideas we thought were right, but in reality, they held us back from growing. We have been used to always putting others first, worrying about everything around us, and forgetting that we too need to be cared for, loved, and nurtured. The important question now is not whether we have the right to live for ourselves, but how to do it effectively in a way that brings us personal fulfillment, strengthens our relationships, and creates a life of purpose. This journey will not only help us find inner peace, but also build deeper connections with those around us, because when we feel content with ourselves, we can bring positive energy to everyone else. I remember a friend of mine, Susan, who went through a similar journey. When Susan entered her 50s, she felt that her life was slowly slipping away. She had spent her entire life taking care of her family and giving her all to her job. When her children grew up and retirement was on the horizon, she began to feel empty. She asked herself, what do I want to do with the rest of my years? Can I live for myself without feeling guilty? And that was the turning point for Susan to discover a new way of living, a life not just for others, but for herself. At first, Susan started rediscovering passions she had put aside for years. She decided to take a photography class, something she had always loved but never had the time to pursue. She didn't just learn the technicalities of photography, she learned how to see the world around her in a new light. This completely changed her life. She didn't just enjoy taking pictures, she found relaxation in the process. Gradually, this passion became an essential part of her life. It not only helped her rediscover herself, but also allowed her to connect with the world in a way she never had before. In addition to reigniting her passion, Susan also decided to focus on her health. She started practicing yoga and meditation, things she always thought she didn't have time for. The flexibility and relaxation that came from combining yoga and meditation helped her regain balance in her life. Not only did she feel physically stronger, but she also felt mentally clearer, enabling her to face the challenges of life with a calm mind. But most importantly, in this journey, Susan learned how to love herself. She used to feel guilty when she took time for herself, thinking she needed to do more for her family and friends. But as she started living for herself, she realized that she wasn't just a better person in her relationships, she was a person who felt whole and happy. She learned that in order to love others fully, we first need to love ourselves. Over time, not only did Susan feel the change in herself, but her family also began to notice. Their conversations became lighter, their family dinners more enjoyable, and their relationships became stronger. This didn't happen because she did more, but because she started living for herself, for her own joys and purposes. Susan's story is a vivid testament to the fact that living for yourself is not selfish. It is a way to find inner peace, feel whole, and truly live. When we live for ourselves, we not only bring joy to our own lives, but also to everyone around us, because when we are happy, we can bring happiness to others. Living for yourself after 50 is not about abandoning your loved ones or neglecting responsibilities. It is about finding joy in your own passions, taking care of your body and mind, and realizing that your dreams and well-being matter just as much as anyone else's. When we do this, we not only create a meaningful life for ourselves, but also foster deeper, more genuine relationships with others. As we enter our 50s and beyond, life begins to change in ways we cannot avoid. Our bodies may no longer be as agile as they once were, our steps slower, and sometimes we might feel more fatigued or less energetic after a long day. However, one thing we never lack is the potential to continue living fully, to find joy in every moment, no matter how life changes. Have you ever wondered, after living your entire life for others, taking care of your family, working tirelessly, whether you can still live a life of freedom and joy despite the challenges that come with age? The answer is yes. Freedom and joy are not things that are only available to us when we're young. They are capabilities that we can nurture and maintain even in our later years. Think about my grandmother Mary. She is in her 70s now, and many in our family thought that she would no longer have the strength to participate in activities she once loved. She had joint pain, and moving around seemed more difficult for her. Everyone in the family thought she would just stay home, rest, and watch the days go by. But she didn't think that way. She refused to let physical limitations define her. Mary started finding ways to adapt to the changes in her body rather than letting them control her life. One morning, she decided to join a yoga class for seniors, even though at first she wasn't sure if she could keep up. But each week she showed up, even if it was just to do some simple poses and breathing exercises. She could feel her body becoming more flexible and her mind clearer. The most important thing was that she realized life was not limited by age, and she wouldn't let physical difficulties stop her. Mary proved that age isn't a barrier to freedom and joy in life. Like Mary, we all have the ability to maintain freedom in our lives despite physical changes or the challenges that age brings. This freedom is not about being physically able to do everything we did in our youth, but it's about having the mental and emotional freedom to live authentically, to embrace the present, and to find joy in what we can still do. The issue isn't about what age has done to us, but how we face and accept it. When we stop seeing aging as a setback and instead view it as an opportunity, we realize that there is much more to life at this stage than we previously thought. Learning to adapt, learning to love and care for ourselves, and continuing to explore the things we enjoy, these are the keys to maintaining freedom and joy no matter the challenges we face. To do this, it's crucial that we start from within. True freedom and joy don't come from external circumstances. They come from how we approach each day and how we adapt to the changes life presents. Just like when we witnessed Mary embracing the changes in her body, maintaining freedom doesn't mean resisting change. It means learning how to live with it, to accept and embrace it. Living for yourself after 50 is not about abandoning loved ones or neglecting responsibilities. It's about finding joy in the small things, doing what you love, and taking care of your physical and emotional well-being. It's about realizing that your needs, your dreams, and your happiness matter just as much as anyone else's. When we do this, we not only create a life filled with meaning, but also strengthen our relationships and contribute more fully to the lives of those we care about. Many people over 50 begin to worry about the years ahead. They fear the decline in their health, the changes in family dynamics, and the challenges of aging. But instead of being overwhelmed by these worries, we must learn to find joy even in those changes. The inability to move as quickly as before doesn't mean we can't enjoy a sunny morning in the park, a dinner shared with family, or a good book. Just like when we face life's challenges, we need to adopt a flexible mindset, an open attitude toward new experiences. Maintaining freedom and joy after 50 isn't about living in the past. It's about learning how to adapt, how to love and care for ourselves, and how to continue exploring the beauty that life still has to offer. What's most important is that we must begin from within. Freedom and joy don't come from external circumstances, but from how we approach life every day. Like Mary, sustaining freedom isn't about waiting for things to change. It's about creating change in our own thoughts and way of living. The key is to find joy in the simplest of moments without rushing or needing to create something grand. So continue living with the freedom and joy you deserve. Don't let age or challenges hold you back. Live each day to the fullest with everything you have and find freedom in every moment. When we live for ourselves, when we learn to love ourselves, we don't just bring joy to our own lives, we bring it to those around us. Life after 50 may come with its challenges, but it also comes with opportunities. Opportunities to live authentically, to try new things, and to find peace and joy in every moment. Keep moving forward on your journey, seeking freedom and joy despite whatever challenges age may bring. Life isn't something that can be predicted, but with every step we take, we can create freedom and happiness that we've always sought. As time goes by and we move beyond our 50s, a profound realization begins to set in. The realization that life in all its complexity is a journey of discovery, not just for what lies ahead, but for the potential within us that we have yet to fully explore. For those of us who have lived the majority of our lives, fulfilling roles, responsibilities, and obligations, it can be a transformative shift to realize that at this stage, the most important question we should be asking ourselves is not about how much time we have left, but about how we choose to spend it. The true beauty of life after 50 lies not in the things we've done, but in the things we still have yet to do. And it is within that realization that purpose and fulfillment await, not as a distant ideal, but as something we can step into today, regardless of the challenges we face. Throughout this journey, we've learned that living for ourselves is not selfish, but empowering. And by doing so, we open the door to greater joy, deeper connections, and a sense of purpose that aging cannot diminish. Let me tell you about my friend Henry. He was in his late 60s when he found himself at a crossroads in life. He had spent decades working in a job that he had outgrown, raising children and taking care of his family. Like many others, Henry had spent most of his life prioritizing others' needs above his own, and when he retired, he found himself with more time than he had ever had before. At first, he didn't know what to do with all the free time. He tried a few hobbies, but nothing seemed to ignite the spark he was looking for. For a long while, Henry felt disconnected, unsure of his purpose in this new chapter of life. But one day, he came across an article about a local community organization looking for volunteers to teach life skills to young people. Something inside him clicked. He realized that this was the missing piece, a way for him to give back, to share his knowledge and experience, and to feel that sense of purpose he had long been searching for. When Henry signed up to volunteer, he had no idea how much this would transform his life. Working with the younger generation, sharing his experiences, and seeing the difference he made in their lives gave him a renewed sense of meaning. He had a purpose, something that went beyond the day-to-day routine of retirement. Henry had found his calling, and it didn't come from any grand achievement or change of circumstance. It came from a simple decision to take action, to live with intention, and to create a new sense of purpose in his life. Through volunteering, Henry found that his sense of purpose didn't just bring fulfillment to his own life, but also to those he worked with. By helping others, he felt connected again. He felt that his life had meaning beyond himself, and that in giving to others, he was also giving to himself in a way he had never experienced before. His days were filled with conversation, laughter, and learning, and the joy he found in serving others was beyond what he had imagined. Henry's story is just one example of how, after 50, we can still live with purpose. It's not about sitting on the sidelines and waiting for life to pass by. It's about engaging with the world in a way that aligns with what matters most to us. It's about choosing to live fully, even if the body doesn't move as swiftly or the years seem to be slipping by faster than we'd like. Purpose doesn't need to be grand. It's often found in the small actions we take every day. It's in the relationships we build, the kindness we share, and the way we choose to spend our time. For some, purpose may come from contributing to a cause they care about. For others, it may be found in nurturing a creative passion or spending time with loved ones. Whatever it looks like, living with purpose is about knowing that our lives still have immense value and that we have the power to shape our experience of this phase of life. Living with purpose is also about embracing the present. It's easy to fall into the trap of focusing on the past, to wish we had done things differently, or to regret the time we feel we've lost. But when we live with purpose, we choose to focus on what we can do now, what we can create today. It's about letting go of what we cannot change and focusing on the possibilities that lie in front of us. As we age, we may not have the same physical energy as we once did, but we gain something far more valuable: wisdom. The wisdom that comes from years of living, of learning from our experiences, and of understanding that life is not just about doing more, but about being present, being intentional, and being true to who we are. When we embrace this wisdom and use it to guide our actions, we find that our lives become richer and more meaningful, not in spite of age, but because of it. The beauty of living with purpose after 50 is that it allows us to take all that we've learned and use it to create something meaningful in the years to come. It's not about looking back at what we've accomplished or what we've missed, but about looking forward to what we can still do, to the legacy we can create, and to the relationships we can nurture. Purpose is not a destination. It's a journey that continues to unfold every day. Let me offer one last piece of advice. If you're sitting here today wondering whether it's too late to start living with purpose, the answer is no. It's never too late. The beauty of life is that it is never too late to begin again, to start a new chapter, to find joy in the things that matter most to you. Whether it's through volunteering, learning a new skill, or simply spending more time with loved ones, there is always room for purpose in your life. Remember, it's not the years in your life that matter, but the life in your years. And as you continue on this journey, you'll find that living with purpose brings a sense of fulfillment and joy that nothing else can compare to. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I hope you feel inspired to live with purpose, to embrace the challenges that come with aging, and to continue creating a life that is full of meaning and joy. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Let's continue to live our best lives together, no matter what age we are.